for the sake of the point, I personally believe that a lot of people are hiding behind just excuses, essentially. I think a lot of people are putting themselves in a position where they go, not consciously by any stretch, but they are in a position where they can see an advantage to doing less, and as a result, they are doing less. What's your opinion there?
No, I don't understand what you mean. Saying people are doing less because they don't. They're probably thinking they're in a comfortable position, not doing that. They feel like they're probably thinking, well, I've got a house, I'm living with my parents, and I've got nothing to lose. And why should I work if I've got a house? I've got this. I don't have to pay for anything. It's all of that. So they feel they're comfortable. So they probably are, like I said, weak-minded, and they probably struggle. They struggle to want to do it because they're comfortable, and I think sometimes it's the parents. I think that maybe puts the weakness into the child by not making them do it, like not saying to them maybe when they get old enough, saying you've got to get a job now, try and get a job, because if you don't, we're going to start charging rent and stuff. But this is the problem. I think people don't want, because they feel like they're going to think to themselves, the parents might kick them out because they're their child. So they feel like they don't have to do it because they're thinking they won't kick me out if I don't want to get a job. I don't see it. They feel comfortable. They're like, and they're just content of what they're doing because they're like, I'm safe. When you're in a safe bubble, you feel like there's no consequences for yourself anymore, and you're just happy, and you're just like, yep, I can do what I want and stuff. For me, when I wanted to start getting a job so I can buy my own things and stuff like that, and do my own things and socialise and stuff. And nowadays, I barely, like, I think the only thing my mum really buys me now is just the weekly shop so I can eat. I think that's basic, and sometimes when we go out for like a restaurant or something, go out for a meal, and even then I sometimes offer to pay a little bit as well. And like it rarely, like said, my dad, like when I first turned 18, my dad was buying all my drinks and stuff and all of that. We don't do that anymore. It's basically me. I'm basically just using my own money. The only thing like I say, I pay my rent, I pay rent and all of that, and I barely, like, kind of, I now don't really live off my mum and dad anymore. Like, there's only a few things they buy for me now, just the essentials of just living, because they're still my mum and dad. They still want to protect me and everything like that. And I think that also started giving me a bit of independence, and I actually kind of enjoyed that independence of I can buy what I want, I think this comes into of how happy I am, I wouldn't say I'm happy, I'm just, like I said, content again. And the feeling when you get your first paycheck was one of the best feelings I ever had. I was like, oh my god, look how much money I've got. It was so funny. It was just like, I've got like £800 in my account. What the and then you go and realise that's actually quite a bit of money. Because then you go and look at stuff and say, oh, it's only 70 quid, it's only this and that, and I've got 800. You don't realise how much, like, and like I said, you go, like, I enjoy the thrill of getting paid, which is why I work. Because I like my lifestyle. Because if I don't go to work, I can't social. Because for me working and getting money means I can socialise. And if I don't, because if I didn't work, I wouldn't socialise. I'd be stuck in my room. I wouldn't do anything, and I'd just be lazy. And I think that's what I can't. I think that's what, going back to what those people, maybe they're lonely, or maybe they don't want to do anything because they don't have to, because maybe they haven't got any friends. Maybe they're just weak, or there's no risk for them, and they don't want to push themselves outside their comfort zone, so they will just live off their parents and not want to work. And they're just, maybe they are weak-minded, or maybe they're content and comfortable, even though it's not life. That's not how life works. I would have loved to just live off my parents. everyone in the world, I wouldn't have to do anything. Imagine my mum just gave me £1,000 a month. Just to live for, just here's £1,000 a month, spend it what you like, that's all you're getting. I'll still pay for your weekly food and stuff and that, but that's just for you. There's £1,000 a month. You don't have to work for it, you don't have to do anything. There's your £1,000, and I'll give you £1,000 each month for you. That'll be your like spending money. You wouldn't want to do anything. You wouldn't want, no, you generally wouldn't. You just feel comfortable, you feel safe, and you got a house, you got food, and you go and do whatever you like. And that's not being an adult. That's not life. That's just poncing. That's just not what we're kind of built for. This is not what you should be doing, because you're just working. I think it's character building, because it tells you who you are as a person and where you come from and what you're trying to do, and it makes you more of a man, a respectable person, or a respectable lady, or just a respectable person. Because if he's got a job, they're thinking, right, he knows what he's doing. Even though he's happy, he's doing the right thing. He's earning his own money. He's not living off anyone. And I think it makes you when you have your own money, you can treat people as other things, and that makes me feel good. When I buy stuff for other people, saying, all right, I'll do this, it gives me like a nice feeling inside, because it means I've earned this money and I can give to the people I love. And if you're just living off someone, or just you don't get any sort of warm fuzzy feeling. You're just, oh, thanks, mum, and then go and do what you like, and you end up just sitting there, and are you actually happy? And you're probably thinking, oh yeah, you're happy, but deep down, I really hope deep down these people probably think, is it really what I want to do? But because then there's no risk. If there's no risk, if maybe their parents just said to them, or just to say, we're going to kick you out if you don't get a job, generally like fearing to them, maybe they would, because when you're in a dangerous situation, when you're generally, your feet are against the ropes, you will force a change. And I think sometimes in these people, we have to kind of force a change, even though we don't want to, even though it's harsh, but life's harsh. You never know what's going to happen. Even though it is, like, it sounds really cruel to say, if you don't get a job, you're out, you need to start paying rent and stuff like that. Sometimes that's what I feel like. It makes it sound really mean and cruel. But sometimes I feel like some of these people just need to kick up the arse, just to tell them, that's not right. That's not life. You need to wake up. Because if you don't wake up, what's going to happen when they're not here? You going to live off someone else? No. You think anyone else is just going to give you £1,000 a month? Or like tell you you're amazing? And if you just went up to like, oh, whoever's like your next family member or guardian and stuff, and say, can I have £1,000? They're probably just laughing, go like, what? Earn your own money. That's what I would say. Earn your own money. And how are you going to find someone to actually like care for you? Or like a lot of like partners, they like stability. They like to know that they're in a good place. They're earning a good bit of money. Or like you don't have to be the richest man in the world, but at least have some stability. Good luck trying to find a girlfriend if you don't have a job or you don't have any sort of stability. And everyone wants to feel stable. Everyone wants to feel just happy. They just want to feel like, okay, if I'm with him, I know I've got a chance of being in a house or doing that or doing this and feeling happy or like just stable. Good luck doing that if you haven't got a job. Because a lot of people will think, definitely like the parents of that child, or thinking, what are you doing? They're not stable. They're not, and you could love them and stuff and think, oh, it's all pieces and all. You could just, but deep down, if you love them that much, it's like, but surely you want to feel stable. Surely you want to feel like you're safe. If you're not safe, why are you doing it? It's like, yeah, if that makes any sense to you.
This epidemic of weakness comes without grit, but it also comes without information. Yeah. I think a lot of people have not been told the virtues of having good morals, of being someone who works for things, of being someone who is in a position to provide, as you put it. I think it's very important that we open up a conversation about the fact that it's not just about, as you say in that example, if you were to be given money. It's about what you get as a result of earning things, and people have not been told this enough. I think a lot of young people are in a position where they don't understand that the mental fortitude and essentially the level of happiness that you're afforded as a result of working towards things is so tremendous and so worthwhile that you can't just sit around. You need to go and do something. You need to find something that makes you feel as though you can be the parent that provides, or the strong foundation within a relationship. You need to put yourself in a position where you can provide that for people and provide that for yourself. And the way that you get that is through doing something that puts you out. And within that is that sense of fulfillment that is so critical to existence.
It is literally that, isn't it? It's the fulfillment. Like I say, the feeling you get when you provide, like you buy stuff for people, you treat people. It's a very weird, nice feeling. I love when I can go and buy people pints, saying, "All right, here's a drink, here's this." It's a very weird, thrilling feeling. It's a lovely feeling when you can treat people, because it means I'm a good person. I can provide. I can do this. I can do that, and it makes me feel so much. Just it's a really weird, fuzzy feeling, and it's brilliant. And it's like, it means I'm doing the right thing. I'm not sitting around waiting for something to happen. Like I said, my mum got me my first job at the pub, and I was like, because I didn't want to work. No, I generally didn't want to work. I was effing terrified. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. And I just remember my mum coming home and just saying, oh, I got you an interview at the pub. I was like, well, thanks, you didn't tell me. Because that was the best approach with me. Don't tell me anything, just tell me, oh, you got this. So I went up, did one shift, and never left. And it was really funny. I was having a chat with my boss, and he said, how long did because she knew all about my autism, because she knew my mum and dad for years. And she said, and I made a joke saying, how long do you think I would actually how long, I said it a few weeks ago, did you think I'd last? She said no. She thought I'd be gone after a couple of weeks, but she was very surprised. She was how committed I was and how long I lasted. And like I said, what I love about the best part of that workplace is you can have a joke with people. Some things are a bit different, and I would want a few changes and stuff, but overall, like, the people there, they're all nice and all laughable people, and you can have a joke with, and it makes it like a nice atmosphere. Like I said, like we're all good people. You can have a laugh with people and stuff, which is nice. And going back to what I was saying. What was I saying?
I want to put you in the direction. I want to burrow into that point of generosity, and why it's so important that people are aware of the fact that when you look at hard work on the surface value of it, you look and go, oh, fuck that's hard. I don't want to do that. It is critical that people are aware of the fact that feelings like this is something that I've very pleasantly, I was put in a position. I was given a bit of money following a passing of a loved one, and that put me in a position where I could start adding to that myself. And as a result of that, I've gained a nice little nest egg. And the feeling, which I had never experienced before, and I know it's slightly contradictory given the fact we just said about being given $1,000, and that's exactly what happened. But the point I'm going to sort of navigate here quickly is I am now in a position where, as a result of that act of kindness, I pushed on and put more money into that. And as a result, I'm really not worrying about money. And that's a wonderful feeling. It's such a nice feeling to not feel, shit, is there something, I had £600 expenditure sitting to my left here, not to worry. All of the stuff in it, this stuff that's in this room has cost me well over $1,000 in the last few months. I mean, this whole thing has cost way more than that. But that's not even the point itself. Or I suppose in some senses it is. I have been able to afford myself the luxury of going, you need this because this is what's important to you. There you go, have it. And this was something that I noticed when I took my sister out for her birthday, the feeling more saliently of being able to say to someone, oh, do you want that? And they go, yeah, and giving it to them, that is wonderful. That's one of my favourite feelings on the planet. I crave that feeling. I will routinely buy people things because I love that feeling. I love the idea of knowing that I am in a position where I can make someone else's life happier.
Yeah.
And it's not even, you can take the materialistic element out of it because it's not that. It's the gesture. It's the idea of, you know, when you're up at the club going, put a pint in for him. Like there is a nice solidarity in knowing that you are in a position to provide for someone. And particularly as men, but this is across the board, this is women involved too.
Yeah.
Men need that more than anyone because that's our inherent state.
Yeah.
We are providers. It's what we are genetically hardwired to do. It's the behaviour that we are supposed to enforce. If you're not in a position to do that, you are missing a fundamental aspect of life. And you will miss that aspect of life if, as the aforementioned point goes, you aren't aware of how good it feels to be a provider. And you just look at, but I don't want to go to work. I'll stay at home, and I do have a house here, and my mum will pay for the food, and dad will do the work, and don't worry about it. You're not going to have any money in your pocket now, and you're definitely not going to have any in a few years' time when you really need it. And this is something that I shall bang the drum on and shout from the rooftops for a long time, for the rest of my life, is working at something. And as a result, being able to help other people and provide for other people is, in my opinion, the essence of life. It's the reason why we're here.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Providing it is, like I said, it's the way things happen. We're genetically hardwired. We feel like, as the men, nowadays, women as well. Men and women, we want to provide. The feeling for us to provide is a very weird and amazing feeling. To know that I can buy my dad a drink, buy my sister a drink, buy my little sister gifts and stuff, when it's a lovely feeling because it means I'm doing the right thing. I'm not that person that just sits down and just lives off people. I'm earning my own money so I can give my family what they want or what they deserve because of what they've done helping me. It feels like when I started earning money, I felt like I was finally paying back everyone for the way they raised me, for the way they made me as a person. It felt nice to I was finally paying them back for it. And I'm finally making my worth. No, chicken. It's an incredible it's an incredible feeling. It makes you feel empowered. Is it empowered? Yeah, empowered. Thinking I'm doing this, and I think it's also a great thing because it means when you finally, maybe if you move in with someone or got a girlfriend and all of that, and you move in with them and stuff, and knowing that you can provide and knowing that you can give them the world, give them what they deserve, it's an incredible feeling because you know that you're doing the right thing. You're making them feel happy, stable, and all of that. Because you're working, and this is why you work. You work to provide.
Yeah.
Life. You can say how much you hate your job and all of that. In the back of my mind, every time I go into work, every time I go I don't like this. I really just don't like it. I always have to think to myself, I have to provide. I have to. Because if I stop doing this, how am I going to provide? How am I going to keep that? Because I genuinely think if I stop working because I'm not providing, I think that will make me depressed.
It will.
I think that sort of drug or hormone or some sort of drug to provide, if that goes away, I feel like a lot of your happiness goes away.